everyone, I hope that you're well. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing some of my favorite art and creativity tips. These tips have basically helped me get out of a lot of creative blocks, negative headspaces, demotivation, and so on. Hopefully, I'll be able to share these with you and maybe give you a little bit of inspiration and just a boost to kind of get you going. So, let's get started. Tip number one, and my personal favorite, would be to just stay reminded of the idea and the concept of creating for the sake of being creative. What I mean is that oftentimes we put so much pressure on ourselves to create something that's beautiful and shareable in a sense, and that makes us just lose touch with our creative instincts. As kids, we used to scribble and draw and do all sorts of things, and we would be really happy in just doing that. My personal recommendation when it comes to this area would be to read or listen to Big Magic. This book is extremely helpful when it comes to understanding our relationship with creativity and just how ideas can come and go and we need to catch them. Just try it for yourself and enjoy it. My second tip would be to remember that not everything is made to go on social media or on the internet. So a lot of the times it adds an extra layer of pressure when you know that the piece that you're currently working on is going to be shared or has to be shared. And sometimes we just put that upon ourselves and we don't really give ourselves the chance to express anymore. For example, personally, I have two sketchbooks. One that I use for my actual finalized portraits, and another one where I just scribble and doodle and do all sorts of weird things that probably don't even make any sense to me, but they're just there because they help me loosen up a little bit. They help me get into the groove of just putting something down, seeing how colors interact with each other, and just experimenting. And I think that as a person who's trying to be creative, you need to give yourself that space and that freedom to just let yourself go, not think about what other people are gonna say about this, whether it's right or not right, whether it looks good. You give yourself the freedom and the peace of mind knowing that this is for you and you get to express yourself however you'd like without having to worry about it too much. Tip number 3 is to use simple tricks to help you just begin. For example, if you'd like to start experimenting with graphic design, but you still don't know anything about it, you don't have to immediately dive into the complicated tools that you need to learn. You can try finding websites or apps. You can edit pictures and play around with layouts and effects and all sorts of things like that, just to see whether you're actually going to grasp another concept, but in a more complicated way. It's like easing yourself into the process, just before you approach the stage where you actually learn it. This is also really related to the tip that I'm about to share next, which is to try things that you're interested in and set the bar really low. There might be a lot of things out there that you think that you're interested in, and you're still not sure if you want to pick any of them up fully and dedicate so much time and energy into them. Instead of overwhelming yourself by just diving into a really long and detailed course on something, which is great, nobody said that it's not, but a good way to just approach the situation is to first identify all the different things that you're interested in and start to try each one little by little. You can just simplify it by trying to find online sources that can help you learn a little bit about it, see how far you can go by just using the free, simple, and short tutorials available. Once you feel like you found one in that list, or maybe more, that you're really interested in and you want to take it a step further, then you know that the decision you're making is a little bit more informed. My next piece of advice would be to collaborate. Collaboration can either have a really good reputation with some people or a terrible one with others. And I understand, because sometimes it could be stressful to try and navigate a project or communicate all the time. But at the same time, the value of the conversation that could stem out of a group or just two people is a lot more effective and can go on for a longer period of time. Sometimes when you're on your own, you can give up too easily, or you can just tell yourself that you're gonna do it later. But having another person there can either make you feel like you're more responsible, or you would like to be at a certain pace. For this tip, I would like to talk about an area that people tend to disagree and agree on all the time, which is talent versus practice. So many people think that you need to be super talented in order to become successful in a creative field, or that some people are just naturally born with talents. And that's true, don't get me wrong. I believe that as well. But I also believe that a talent can become worthless if the hours are not put in, which means that a lot of people could naturally have some sort of talent, but it just doesn't become fully realized because they didn't practice it enough. Which makes people who don't feel like they've discovered their talent yet kind of have an advantage. If you put in the hours, you could potentially reach somewhere that's even more effective than a person that's naturally born with a talent, just because of the difference between you and them and your hours. A lot of research has been done on the number of hours that needs to be put in order for a person to become a master in some sort of craft or area. And this kind of leads me into the next point, which is to try and do something that you want to become better at every single day. What I mean by this is, if you'd like to get better at drawing, it is said that if you make it a goal to draw something every single day, you are eventually going to get better at it. Now, sometimes this can be a little bit overwhelming and you might miss a day or two, but the important thing to remember is to just continue and let the process show you all the things that you're going to be learning. Honestly, I've tried this myself and I have seen really, really good results. This tip is about setting up yourself and your space for creativity. What I mean is that even if you don't have a huge space or an allocated space for the thing that you'd like to be practicing, it's important to mentally open yourself up to the act itself, and then also dedicate, even if it was just one corner or one chair, for the thing that you'd like to be doing. This is also touched upon in a book called Atomic Habits, and it helps you understand a lot about habit building and why there are certain things that we so easily do and certain habits that we just cannot get ourselves to do. I found it really helpful, and if you'd like to know more about this area, it's a great book. I'd like you to consider this following tip, whether you are or not a visual person. This is because a lot of people can shy away from doing these things when they feel like they don't need to actually write things down or see them to remember them. But I urge you to try it just because it can actually bring into your life a lot more of the things that you want. For example, when you have a mood board or a vision board and you actually have it in front of you all the time, it can kind of inspire you even when you don't think that it is. Generally, by writing things and putting them in front of you, you are more likely to be inspired by them and to get them to be fully realized. My last but also very, very important tip is to protect your creative time. What I mean by this is that oftentimes when we live with other people or when we have certain responsibilities and things that we need to be doing, we tend to just not prioritize the time and the importance of the time that we give or dedicate to creativity. Things like constantly getting interrupted or disturbed can actually really hurt the process and the image of creative time in your head. So I would advise you to just make it very clear that you're going to be busy for, let's say, an hour, to whoever is around you that might actually need you or that might want to tell you something during that time. You can make it clear to them, and hopefully they can respect the fact that you just need this time to actually do something that is important to you. You can even put your phone on airplane mode just to ensure that you don't get tempted to grab your phone halfway through and just flick through Instagram, or for someone outside of your space to actually get into the process and interrupt it as well. I think that everybody is different and these tips might not all work for you, but I hope that even if there was one tip in there that could really help you, I encourage you to try it. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and to comment down below with your personal favorite tips and maybe anything that you've previously tried and your experience with it. I hope that I have managed to inspire you even a tiny bit and give you a little bit of the good energy that you need to get your creative process moving. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope I see you soon. Bye! Help you do the thing that help you get to the desire that help you get to the